Vincent, Ring of Honor star, who is competing at Final Battle coming up, the end of an era. It's being advertised as you know the end of an era. It's kind of bittersweet, but also ISPW Christmas Chaos coming up this weekend. We're going to talk about both events that are making up your big weekend. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you guys? Thank you for having me. Let's get to it. I'm excited for both shows this weekend. Actually, I've never wrestled at ISPW, and I'm pretty excited about it. I love Crowbar is the man. I think he referred me, but Crowbar is such a good dude. And actually, when that whole thing with Ring of Honor happened, he was one of the first guys to reach out. So he's the man. So I know it's like him versus Homicide, which would be pretty cool. I've Nico's Rico's. I saw some of his stuff. Looks great. I'm looking forward to getting in there with him. You know, it'd be a first time match for me. That's kind of the cool thing about all these places now is like I haven't done the indies in a while, so it's been cool to kind of like get out there and wrestle people I've never wrestled before. Like, I hope I can wrestle a ton of people that I've never been in the ring with. So it's kind of cool. So it's exciting. You know what I mean? To look forward to stuff like that.
Yeah, it's as I mentioned, it's ISPW Christmas Chaos. Vincent takes on Nikos Ricos. Some of you watching might know his work from WrestlePro around the New Jersey area. December 10th, you can still get tickets on 80swrestlingcon.com website. There's an ISPW page for that. I wanted to talk about, you kind of mentioned it, getting back out on the indies. A big part of your career has been Ring of Honor, but you got your start in the New England area. Yeah. Do you kind of pay attention to any region in particular? I know it's like more national because of the internet, but do you pay attention to like the tri-state area, or Texas is getting a lot of attention, and then you have like all sorts of these pockets of like indies like thriving right now? Do you pay attention to any stuff like that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, like you said, the internet. So like I see everything and anything, you know what I mean? And it's funny, like I actually before Ring of Honor, I got my start at Top Rope Promotions. That's where I trained under Spike Dudley at the school that was upstairs, and Northeast Wrestling was one of the places that I started at. And I actually I think it was last weekend, I ended up going back there and wrestling there, which was pretty cool. Like I said, it's I get to see a lot of the students that they have now that are kind of trying to get themselves out there. I got to work with some of those guys, so that was really cool too. But yeah, I mean, I have my eye on everything and anything, you know what I mean? I just wrestling is crazy right now, and there's so much of it in so many places, and so many wrestlers out there, and it's just great because I mean, I think it gives a lot of people different opportunities in different places. And like I said before, like I'd like to get the opportunity to wrestle a lot of people at a lot of these different places that are out there. So hopefully that can kind of, but I don't have any like set particular region as much as I do just kind of like, I feel like the excitement of being able to just kind of be out there and wrestle, in these different places now is just exciting to, hopefully those doors can kind of open up for me, and, some of these places would be willing to have me kind of wrestle some of their guys. It's exciting.
And it's really interesting to kind of follow along because you have Beyond and Limitless and Chaos.
Yeah, I was just at Beyond Wrestling on Sunday for that Fet Forever show, and it was amazing. That building was packed, and like it was just like had that building Fet there in Providence just has like an awesome vibe to it. It has kind of like a Fight Club kind of feel to it. So it's just like, and the people are just like on top of you. Just that the atmosphere is cool there. It was a great show. The matches are great. The people are super hot into everything. So that was a good time. Beyond's one of the ones that, now that we're on the subject of it, Beyond's one of the ones that like when I was, younger, I kind of wanted to work with them, but it just kind of never lined up. And then when I went to Ring of Honor, it was just like, I remember doing one right before Ring of Honor, and then it just obviously it just didn't line up after that. So now that I was able to go there, that was kind of like an exciting thing where I'm like, oh cool, I'm excited to kind of be a part of this now, you know what I mean? So that was one of the ones that I kind of always wanted to eventually be a part of in some degree.
You mentioned popping up at Beyond, and I saw on Twitter you were there with Vita Von Star and Dutch, and that leads me to wonder, like, especially now moving forward, obviously those are your stablemates with the Righteous. We've been talking about venturing out into the the open market, all these opportunities, all these different pockets of wrestling really booming right now. And we've heard Shane Taylor Promotions kind of plans to stick together, but with the Righteous being another kind of prominent stable in Ring of Honor, do you have any plans or at least kind of hopes to kind of keep working together as you all kind of move forward into whatever comes next?
Yeah, absolutely. I think like it's kind of the circumstances kind of stink, because like I felt like finally bringing Dutch in at that pay-per-view at the anniversary show, I felt like he was kind of like one of those like last puzzle pieces to what I was trying to whatever vision I had to try to create. You know what I mean? I felt like he kind of fit that, like, okay, this is the last guy that I was looking for. And I'm really close with Dutch. He's one of my close friends, man. And like right now it's kind of like, because it seems like me and Dutch are kind of leaning into hopefully doing some stuff together, me and him tagging wise. Bateman, I'd like to keep everything going and everybody involved. Bateman lives in LA, so he's on the West Coast. So it'd be a matter of us. We're all kind of like, it's like West Coast, Florida, New York, and we're all right. Kind of like, so if we can manage it, I would absolutely 100% love to kind of keep it going if we could, at all different places. But I know for sure that Bill and I have some stuff set up where, he and I will be tagging and doing some stuff together in Northeast Wrestling, Beyond Wrestling, and stuff like that. So, so hopefully we can kind of keep it going. Like I said, circumstances kind of stinks, because I felt like we were just about to kind of, kind of evolve it to the next level of where we wanted it to go. So, unfortunately, with this whole thing, it's kind of, put a halt to it. So now we got to try to, kind of see if we can bring it, on the independents, which I would love to do.
One of the things I mentioned to Colin before we jumped on here was that one promo that you posted on social media. You're all wearing the white clothes and just talking about like purity and stuff. I was like, that really felt like that was going to take off into something else, and now it's kind of stalling. So, and it's out of your hands. It's circumstances. Right. So I was wondering, like, maybe we see more of that, or a version of it, at least if it's just you doing it, or when you guys can get together. Maybe it's not a weekly or a regular thing, but just
and it was cool too. And like, just like the that kind of like midsummer vibes of the all white and stuff like that. It was just when we did that promo and afterwards, we were all excited, man, because like it was just kind of like, it felt like what we had, it was kind of like a little evolution of what we're doing, but like with a little slight different direction with where Ring of Honor was potentially headed with the pure wrestling and all that stuff. So I was like, how could we kind of incorporate that with what we're doing in a sense? Do you know what I mean? So it kind of, slews into what they're trying to do, presentation wise, and kind of make us a part of that without being like, we're pure wrestlers, because like clearly we're not. So how do we kind of do it in a different way? You know what I mean? Where it's kind of like more of a purity of the mind kind of like story, which kind of could have led to, us and the foundation, which I thought would have been, pretty cool, because just the dynamic of the two. But yeah, that was I was hoping was going to lead to more, but like we said, sucks.
Not to belabor the point, but one part of that, you had beat Matt Taven at Glory Bonder Night 2 in August to earn the Future World title shot. And for me, I watch that every week, and just kind of seeing it continue to unfold when you and the Righteous like had the purification, the writing was on the wall. It's like, okay, this feels like it's leading to this thing with the foundation. And then especially for a while now, I've thought that Jonathan Gresham would eventually challenge and likely win the world title at some point. And then obviously that would be part of that, this feud of the foundation and the purified Righteous. So kind of connecting the dots there. But now, obviously, as we've been talking about, kind of the rug got pulled out, and now you're someone that earned a world title shot, and it feels like you're not going to be
getting
able to get it. Yeah. Like that's
yeah.
as a fan and as a performer, I imagine that's
Yeah,
disappointing.
and like exactly what you just said. I think every performer in pro wrestling, I mean, their goal is to be world champion, right? Like, I think so. It was kind of a bummer because I felt like, after that cage match, like right after it, I felt like, okay, this, from here, we gotta, hopefully it can kind of, keep kind of escalated from there, and then we did the all white thing and started talking about purity and stuff like that, which led to like, Lethal and Gresham and the foundation and doing all that stuff. It just really felt like the timing, everything was going so great. And then, boom, it kind of, like you said, the rug got pulled right out from underneath our feet. It's unfortunate because, I was really looking forward to, working, with Jonathan Gresham. And, I have before, but never, it would have been cool to do it more in like an in-depth kind of thing, you know what I mean? In-depth story. And if that headed towards, Gresham, possibly, winning the world title, and then me and Gresham doing something later down the road or whatever. But, it was exciting to where I felt like, we were headed as far as that.
One of the positive things to come out of that situation, and OGK recently talked about it on the ROH Strong podcast, was Mike said that Matt fought to put you over to get that title shot at Glory by Honor. Like, he really insisted that, it was a way to elevate you. And, you can argue that it did that because you were getting a title shot. It gave you the vehicle to sort of go in this new direction. But,
Right.
It's kind of odd to talk about it because, like, other places it's like, oh, you're not making new stars, or you are, or just the idea of like fans being conditioned that like the babyface moment's coming, and like, oh, Matt Taven's gonna win because of what you did.
Right.
This guy's
The hero beats the bad guy. Right. Yeah, and that's all true. And it just felt like that very moment, just that kind of thing, to solidify that, I had broken away from this 4-year, story from beginning of Kingdom till the end of the, bell ringing in that cage match. So it kind of had that like, okay, here we go. Do you know what I mean? So it was like, yeah. And that's definitely all true. But yeah, like most people, like you said, are conditioned to, okay. I mean, a lot of movies we watch, right? The hero always beats the bad guy in the movie. But, sometimes it's kind of cool if like, the good guy, I mean, the bad guy gets his big moment, and then we go on to whatever. But yeah, that was all true. And, like I said, like, that like you mentioned, the positive of it, at least like I felt personally that did elevate me in that very moment. Like even afterwards, I felt like, okay, this 2-year 2-year feud that we have had, even over the pandemic, that we, I thought we did a decent job at trying to keep it going during that time, which was so tough to do. Ended up it just had a really good, like, okay, great. And, that 2 years I felt like paid off in a way that, like, it came out the way I would wanted it to,
Yeah. And if you look at it in terms of TV or movies, like, you're a bad guy in those terms, but in your mind, you're good. So the babyface go over to some people.
Right. Yeah, I was the good guy. So
especially that cage match definitely, as we were just talking about, kind of elevated you. And then, not to stay too firmly in the realm of what could have been, but you had mentioned before this vision of kind of evolving the righteous into something else, something new, something different.
Right.
Kind of looking forward, or I guess in a way looking back to what you may have wanted to do, had the situation turn out differently. If I may, just like, is there any kind of specific way you kind of wanted to take the group, to change the group, to kind of keep progressing it, beyond that, we're talking specifically about this feud with the foundation and things like that. But kind of things that weren't even necessarily you didn't get the chance to even hint at yet.
Right. There isn't any like specific kind of like pinpointed where I wanted to exactly take everything. I feel like some of the stuff that even like evolving throughout like the years that I've evolved, myself or the righteous in itself, kind of like organically presents itself. So if there's like a little something that like comes organically, then it's almost like you can kind of build off that in a way. So kind of like, taking it as it kind of goes and then like building the blocks like from there and just seeing kind of what comes out of it, weed out whatever doesn't work and then just kind of keep going forward with it. But yeah, I didn't really have like an exact, like once we started doing the purity stuff, we kind of had like a vision of what direction, like we talked about already, where we wanted to go with it, but I didn't really have like an actual end game. I was just kind of letting that kind of flow for now, like where it was, and just whatever comes out organically from that, you can kind of like, go off that, which is essentially kind of what I, did throughout the time I was there. You know what I mean? Like I remember, starting with the balloons was just like a thing, like just a visual. I felt like that's a cool visual, everybody knows it's going to come back to like, okay, that's it. But like, it was, to me, it was just kind of like a cool, like, oh, this is kind of just cool to see. It's just kind of a cool, like, oh, what the hell kind of thing. But, and then it kind of just went from there, and, that kind of, it ran its course, and it just kind of, organically finding things throughout the time of trying to just, see what sticks to the wall and see what doesn't.
We talked about one appearance you have this weekend, ISPW.
Yeah.
The other one is at Final Battle, the 6-man tag team championships, Shane Taylor Promotions, Colin already mentioned. But how are you approaching that event? Because, you started wrestling about 15 years ago, but a large part of that has been in Ring of Honor. It's been like the mainstay. How are you approaching the weekend, just as far as like the end of an era aspect of it? And, how, besides a win in that match, like what do you want out of that event?
I mean, every time it's brought up, it's crazy to me. You know what I mean? It's like you said, like I've spent a lot of my career there. So, and I spent a lot of my time in my career trying to get there. So like, back in like 2000, I think, 10, I did like my first ever Ring of Honor tryout in Philadelphia. And then, 2012, I got gored out of my shoes by Rhino in like 30 seconds, which is, that's, that was, it's a memory but it's crazy, man. It really is. It's really weird to me just to know that like, this era is ending of Ring of Honor after all these years and after all the time being there and everything else. So it's kind of like it's like a bottle of mixed emotions going into that. You know what I mean? Exciting. I'm hoping that a lot of people do attend just to kind of like, kind of have this big moment with us. All the Ring of Honor fans that always supported us throughout all the years. Hopefully that, as many of them can attend. You know what I mean? If they're in that area, but it's crazy just to know that. So like I going into it, it's like even with the match itself, I think the match, I just want the like win, lose, whatever. I just want the match. I want, between us and Shane Taylor Promotions, I just, between the two teams, I just want to go, just go all out there. You know what I mean? If this is the end of an era, I want us to go out there, both teams, and just, do everything. Give the fans exactly what they're hoping to see. And I honestly think that the whole show is going to be that. I think everybody's going in there with that attitude of like, okay, if this is the end of the era, like let's go out with this like great show. You know what I mean? Let's just like and not that we never put 100% in any other shows that we do, but this one has just that feeling going into it of like, okay, if this is it, then let's do this. You know what I mean? Like it's exciting. Like I said, bottle of mixed emotions. It's sad It's exciting, it's crazy. It's like a wave of emotions daily just to think about it, but I'm exciting. It's like I'm grateful to be a part of an end of an era, for Ring of Honor. It's definitely something that's going to be whatever direction they go. I don't know, but it's definitely a part of Ring of Honor history. You know what I mean? It's going to be a part of Ring of Honor history of just that time. You know what I mean? Remember that time? Oh yeah, I was a part of that final battle. So it's a mix of different things, but I'm excited. And Shane Taylor Promotions, like Khan, Moses, like I'm a big fan of that group of guys, and they're fantastic. So I think it'll be great.
Yeah, I think part of the, maybe not anxiety, I think is a bad word, but like part of the equation is people don't know what's next. So it's like, oh,
right.
I'm kind of approaching it like, let's celebrate this week. Like, let's enjoy what it is for right now. Like, obviously nobody can really answer any questions about it, but if you look at it as far as this era, like maybe bookending it, is there a match, a moment, anything that stands out that really you would say is, your legacy that you left for the company, if you could think of it in those terms?
Well, I mean, we already talked about the cage match. That was, it was just a big moment for me. Do you know what I mean? By myself, it was a big moment. If we're gonna do, and it was just crazy to me to be in a main event in a steel cage match at Ring of Honor. Do you know what I mean? Like, young me was just like, man, this is cool. You know what I mean? Like, I never thought in a million years, I never ever thought that would happen. Do you know what I mean? So it's just cool to kind of, be in that type of match at that, on the Ring of Honor platform. But there's a couple different ones. The 6-man titles, winning that for the first time in the Hammerstein was awesome at Final Battle. That was cool too. There's one of the coolest moments ever to me was at Madison Square Garden in the Honor Rumble there, standing face to face at the Final Four with the Great Muta and Jushin Thunder Liger was just like insane to me. You know what I mean? I was just like, I couldn't, that was a moment like just the Great Muta, like everybody loves, right? So like even just seeing him come out in the whole thing, I was just like, man, this is crazy. But like having that final standoff with him, and just being in Madison Square Garden alone, never mind standing off with those two guys, but like that was like a huge moment, in Ring of Honor for me, where I was just like, this is just awesome. So those are a couple moments that I've had there, and like there's been plenty of great matches and great moments throughout the whole entire time I've been there, but those are ones that kind of like stick out to me.
Yeah, I remember being there at MSG, and I was like, is it like kind of like, is this actually happening? I can only imagine. You're like, wait,
crazy.
I'm taking it in, but like I have to wrestle again now too.
Yeah. It was crazy, man. It was crazy, and it's just like, man, yeah, that was a moment, man. And just looking over at the two of them, I was like, man, this is, it was cool, man. It was cool.
One thing that I've always kind of been curious about,
sure,
especially now, this very open future, to try to be optimistic about it. You're someone that I've always, especially, we've been talking about your feud of Matt Taven, the rights and everything. So one of the best character work / promo guys around, like, that I've really ever even seen. And you've dipped your toe into acting horror movies, and to me, especially the persona you play and as a wrestler, it's a perfect combination of horror and wrestling. So then, kind of, would you have any hope or interest in doing more acting, especially now that you're on the open market, and we're talking about kind of venturing around and exploring that, but also maybe outside of wrestling, kind of see what you can do with that, because I think you've definitely got an act for it. So that's what we've seen you play that part so beautifully on Ring of Honor programming for years now.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very, very much. Yeah, it's definitely something, I'm interested in. I mean, even when I did that movie, The Jungle Room there, just like shooting it, it was just so fun to do. Cause I mean, obviously I'm a big horror movie fan. So for me as a kid, I remember like our version of Manhunt in our neighborhood was like me running around in like a Jason mask or Michael Myers mask. And that was like our kid version of Manhunt when we were kids in the neighborhood. So it's like, it was kind of like, when I played that part of Damon in that movie with the mask and stuff, it was so funny because like, I'm lurking around and doing all the movements in the mask, and I'm almost like, it jumped me back to my childhood. I was like, I feel like I'm playing Manhunt and just someone's filming it at this point. But it's definitely something that I have talked with people about, and like I've had some conversations with Bill Moseley, who plays Otis in Devil's Rejects, and had conversations with him about, trying to, get involved. His agent, Judy, is very nice. I spoke with her, but like, it's something that is definitely always been an interest of mine, especially after having so much fun after shooting that last one. But hopefully, something can open up, but I'm going to, keep trying to possibly get more involved if I possibly can some way. But yeah, for sure. Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
ISPW Christmas Chaos this weekend, Friday night. You can catch it in Butler, New Jersey, and then Final Battle.
That's it. The final battle, baby. Here we go.
Final battle. What else can we say that we haven't already? Best of luck to you this weekend at ISPW and in your 6-man tag team championship match. And we'll wait and see what else you have going. We'll follow along, and hopefully we get to do this again.
Absolutely, I would love to.
Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.